Alright boys, I don't know what the audio will be like because it is really windy today, but a lot of people asked me to do a video in my yard, so I thought I would stand up here while we load a... But what I wanted to talk to you about is, do we export our pollution? So I'm going to explain to you what I mean. Me and you take our rubbish to the local tips and the local landfills and the local incinerators, but you recycle your steel and then you have to send it to China because we can't have the pollution in this country. So in this country we get our metal, we recycle it, separate it, and then we send it to China where it's cheaper and give them all our pollution. Same with the rubbish, like this. You get your rubbish, this is our yard, you get your rubbish, we load it into a trailer and then drive it all over the place instead of dealing with it locally. And why is that? Because a lot of these companies don't, so I don't have a lot of rubbish, so unfortunately I am only allowed to go into certain places. If I had loads of rubbish I could go into a local incinerator. There is an incinerator 1 mile behind me, and I can't go into that incinerator because I don't have enough rubbish. Well, work that out. So because I don't have enough rubbish, we only do a few arctic loads a day. I cannot go into the local incinerator 1 mile away. But they will take rubbish from Leeds and everywhere else all over the country because they have more waste. How does the system work? It's absolutely crackers. Me and you in the small skip companies stand absolutely no chance, do we? It's real difficult. Right, we're going to go in the office where it's a bit more quiet. And boys, I'm back in the office and I've got myself a wire to go from my camera to my mic. This is a decent mic, saved me so much time editing the videos so I can start doing a few more videos. Remember, if you want to sponsor me, I don't know, you might rent shredders out, you might do whatever. I want a sponsor, I'm looking for a sponsor. You don't have to even give me money. Send me a better camera or something I can use in the videos, and it takes a few hours of my week to do this, so I'm looking for a sponsor. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, so we're talking about pollution and waste and stuff like that, right? So me and you are in the waste industry. We can't go into our local power plant, what's round the corner, because we don't have enough waste. So we drive past the power plant, 1,000,000 miles, 100 miles, 50 miles. We then tip it somewhere and then we take it back to and then they take it back to the original power plant because they don't have the tonnages. So, and think about this. Like I said to you when I was outside, we shred metal over here or recycle it. We send it from wherever we are to the port. Then we put it from the port onto a boat. Then we put it on the boat over to China or wherever. Then it goes from China to Turkey, usually one of the two, China or Turkey. Then they take it from the port to the refinery, then from the refinery where they make it into new steel, back onto the port, back onto the boat and back into the UK. So to save pollution in this country, but they're probably going to do double the pollution doing it that way than they would if they just recycled it in the UK. And it's like the old thing, innit? We don't want it on our doorstep. So basically what the European Union do is, and this is why these countries abroad are making so much money. So the European Union puts these emission targets on, for instance, right? England, we might as well be sat on a lump of coal. England is full of coal everywhere. Wales is absolutely full of anthracite, great coal, everything else. I think there's only 1 mine or 2 mines, whatever, in this country now, and the coal that we dig out of it goes abroad. And then we import coal back in that has been manufactured to not release any CO2. So, we do some things a real strange way around. And actually, probably, if you looked at the globe as a whole, probably create a lot more pollution. Like I tell everybody, I'm not no brain box. I'm far from it. But what I do know is there's only one world and there's only one lot of pollution. And if we make more of it, whether it be here, China or somebody else, we're still making more pollution. But going back to the waste industry, okay? So, me and you, we sort our rubbish out in our yards. And this is what sends me mad, right? So we sort the rubbish out in our yards. And because we're only small companies, I'm a small company, I only do a few loads. I take a few loads for reprocessing and stuff like that. The power plant, which is less than half a mile from here, I have sent them probably 20 emails over 3 years, and out of them, they have never got back to me. And I spoke to a guy who works there, and he said, if you're not delivering in thousands and thousands of tons, a week, I presume, they're not interested. So these plants, like I say, me and you, the normal little skip companies, we're driving past the power plants, tip it somewhere else to take it back in. Costs more money. Would it not make sense for these places to say to people, I'll tell you what, right, you ain't got as much tonnage, so we'll take some material off you, but we do it a few quid cheaper. Would it not make sense for the local council to say that the rubbish must come within a 50-mile radius? Would it not make sense for the Environment Agency to say that you can't import waste? Because that's all you're doing. You're creating more pollution. You're putting a plant in to save pollution. And I can tell you now, a large proportion of the waste in my town goes to one company who then exports it to another country. So work that out. None of it makes sense. It's all madness. Like I say, I'm not a smart, intelligent guy, but I know that, if this bottle's full of water, and I try and put that in it, it's going to overflow. Yeah. Same with the world. You can only put so much pollution into it before. None of it makes sense. If these people was really interested in saving the planet, right? Okay. If you make your own solar energy, so here at our place we have solar panels, 30 solar panels, massive ones. We can make up to 100 kilowatts a day, which is a lot of power, more than we use. If I sell that back to the grid, we get 5 pence, I think it is, a kilowatt. If I buy electric from the grid, it's 40p a kilowatt. If the government said, whatever you pay for your electric, we will make the electric suppliers pay you for it, I guarantee you, every single part of this country would be covered in solar panels. There you go. There'll be no electric during the day. I've got solar panels on my house, and I don't use any electric during the day. Even on a winter's day, I nearly make enough, even on a crappy winter's day. There's no incentive to... What's the incentive to recycle? What's the incentive to save emissions? What's the incentive to save CO2 and everything else? And at the same time as well, money. So you get these big people who work with the government, they get a grant, they put this money in here and they do all that there. The small people like me and you can't afford to put 10,000 solar panels on a roof. We can't afford a wind turbine and all the other thing. It makes it quite difficult for us to be efficient and recycle and save money and also compete with bigger companies. And I think, okay, the Environment Agency is called the Environment Agency, yeah? If they was to say to these plants, right, think about this, okay? So there's a plant running and it takes 1,000 tonne of rubbish per day. If they said to them, right, we want the majority of that waste to come locally where available, so we're not going to force them to take waste, but let's say you've got 10 transfer stations or 10 small skip companies and we all say we want to take in 30, 40 tonne a day, whatever, and then anything else, say they take 1,000, so the other 970 tonne will come from another company. But at least they're getting the waste locally, which cuts down on the transport, it cuts down on the CO2, it cuts down on the road noise, it cuts down on, a million things. You're taking a driver off the road, a lorry off the road even. How much pollution does that lorry do? I don't understand how much pollution a power plant makes against a lorry. I'd have to sit and read and, work it out, but I'm sure a lorry doesn't have to kick out some pollution, that is for sure. Especially the older lorries. I mean, the new stuff now, it's they capture a lot, but the old stuff certainly will kick out some emissions. So where do we go forward? I mean, if the Environment Agency sat down and said, right, do you know what? We're going to make people take rubbish locally into the incinerators first, yeah, giving everybody a fair shout, then I reckon you would reduce landfill that way, because what happens is you get the bigger companies and they really, really monopolise the industry. So you'll get some big company, I'm not going to name anybody because it's right, they're doing, they've got a bigger site than me and you, and that's what skip companies makes them powerful, a big site. If you've got a 40-acre site, I guarantee you, or 20-acre site, you can put a massive shed up, what's 3-4 acres in size, fill it with rubbish, and all that lot, and it'll go to the power station. And why a big building matters to fill up a waste is it's a buffer. So say the power station's running full chat, and we need more waste, you've got a shed full of it, you can take it, and if they say we're closed tomorrow, you can store it in your shed. And I do understand that's why these companies use these bigger companies, absolutely. But at the same time, it don't give us a route into the power stations, which can be frustrating. I mean, I've took wood I've took a lot of wood into power stations over the years, a real lot of wood. Where did we used to go? Blackbird Meadows, I think it was. But we've dealt with different power stations over the years, Cedar and all that lot. And wood's quite an easy game. The waste industry, when you're trying to deal with RDF and SRF and stuff like that, I certainly think that the Environment Agency should definitely say that you should use local waste. Absolutely. And it would also push the price down of the fly tipping. If let's say I've got to take my waste, for instance, we take our waste up the M62 30 miles. So that 30 miles cost me a driver and everything else, and I drive past the incinerator on the way to that place, and I drive past their lorry on the way back, tipping in the incinerator. I tip my waste there, they load it back into another lorry and send it back. So, you're putting £10 or £15 on it because they won't deal with smaller companies. They should certainly do something. And the Environment Agency, like I said, I don't disagree with anything they do, that is for sure. But I think you've got 6,000 waste codes. You've got, it's so complicated. I mean, look, general waste is general waste. If it's from manufacturing, there's so many codes that it's actually, near impossible to keep on top of, everything. I mean, I think we'll end up in the way that everything's going with this misclassification of waste, and I mean, you hear a lot about it. I think what will probably end up happening is when you do a transfer note, you'll put what does it contain, and you'll end up having to physically list every single thing in that load, and just to be on the safe side. So down the road, nobody can come back and say, I don't know, let's say for instance, you tip a general waste skip. This is more towards the smaller companies, but we tip a general waste skip into our shed, which would be a 2000 code, whatever, 200301. Then we pick a skip up from manufacturing, so it'd be a 19 code. So then what do you send it out? What do you send it all out on? Because it comes in on a 20, comes in on a 19. So then do you send it out on a 20, or do you send it on? This is the problem. If you haven't done that with it, but you've mixed them together because you've only got one shed, so there's no other thing you can do. What do you do? This is where it's going to end up. People are just going to get a waste transfer note, may contain, and tick, 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 tick. If they actually simplified it, then you wouldn't have a misclassification of waste, would you? Because it would be, mainly. It'd be better if it said, I don't know, mainly waste, mainly wood. We pick skips up, for instance. I'll give you an example. Environment Agency man came to my place. There was a place called JZ Flowers, I think it was, and he came in, and we took it in as a green waste, like a trees, and it was flowers, just flowers in bunches. And what he said is that because it had elastic bands on it, it couldn't come in as green waste, because each bunch had an elastic band on it. So you've got a bunch of flowers, weighs, 1 kilogram, and you've got a 1 gram elastic band on it. So he said they can't come in as green waste. So that's going as general. So obviously I tried to argue it. No. You don't make the rules, unfortunately. We don't make the rules. We just have to abide by what the person says. And that's where that's where the market's going now. It's where, I don't know. It's, boys, you'll understand. You'll be getting stressed like I am all the time with all the changes and different things going on. But you've got to keep plodding on, and as changes, things happen, as changes happen, you've got to, adapt. But what I would suggest is, on your transfer note, back in the old days, you just tick on general waste. You can't do that now, because you might have something else. You might as well just tick them all. Wood, plasterboard, just to be on the safe side. I mean, like I said, I don't know would that'd stand, but it's getting that way. But going back to pollution, I do think that the way the government sets out the the rules is crackers. I think me and you, me and the normal skip man, if they spoke to us and said, well, what do you think? I think they could probably cut half of the CO2 down coming from wagons and all the other stuff, just with a simple chat with us and just say, look, if you've got, incinerator, what's in Leeds, what's in Hull, whatever, just tell them to take local waste. Just take a bit, especially the small companies like you boys out there, you're probably paying 150, 160, 170. I don't know how much you pay for waste. I mean, I'm paying over 100 quid, way over 100 quid for good material, what has wood in it, bricks in it and everything. That's like the going rate, 80, 100 quid for construction, demolition waste. Maybe 75 quid if it's got a lot of bricks in it that people can get out, and then your landfill stuff, we call it landfill but use it for RDF, some of that can be as much as 200 quid depending where you are in the country, anywhere between 110 and 200. So, and a lot of that money you're paying is transport. They just, lorries are just going like that past each other, going back to the place where a lot of them came from. If we could only cut down on that, it would be, if you are genuinely bothered about recycling and stuff, which some people are, some people are just interested in the money, earning a day's money. But at the end of the day, if you can recycle more, you're also saving money. But anyway, give me your thoughts, because it's, it's a hot topic. I just thought, I said I'd make a video. I was thinking about this at weekend. I watched a thing about shipping to China and stuff like that, and shipping the steel to China, then bringing it back, and it goes through Turkey and all that lot. I was reading a thing saying that a lot of steel goes through European countries, so they don't have to pay the import duty. So to avoid the import duty, they send it to somewhere like Turkey, however, first, because they have a different tariff, and then bring it back into the UK, because apparently the UK imposes our tariffs on steel and stuff. But anyway, hope you enjoy the video, and it's give you a bit of food for thought. I mean, it'd be nice, wouldn't it, if we just went back to the old days with general waste, wood and thingy, but we're out the euro now, so they might change it. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? And I hope you enjoyed watching me stand there while my truck got loaded, and I will see you all soon.